Well, I'm calling from the past. How's the future looking? All the phone networks have. I told you it was a slippery slope. Guys, I'm free. I've ditched the smartphone. I'm no longer reachable by 20 apps at any time. I don't find myself reaching for my phone every spare minute in what's been dubbed popcorn brain, because like many people, I've realized we just don't need any of it. And of course, why would we? We did just fine in the 80s and 90s without an addictive touchscreen containing all of the world's information in our pockets. Anyway, hello chip dippers. With the smartphone exodus ramping up due to their distractive, addictive hold over us, and neo-Luddites like myself flocking to Dumbphones, I wondered, just how dumb can I go? Don't answer that. Yes, let's find out if we can bring a quarter-century-old Y2K 2G phone to life today, whether it can still handle calls, texts, even internet and iMessage, maybe even fax. The answer might surprise you, so join me for a digital dopamine detox in another retro tech revival here on Retro Recipes.
Welcome.
Retro Recipes.
Now, I'll put you out of your misery. When I first started this project, it was a bit of a joke, and I was just interested in if I could get the phone to maybe make one call. But it's actually ended up becoming my everyday phone with calls, SMS, voicemail, email, Apple iMessage, yes, and even text-based web browsing. And I think out of all the projects I've done, this is the one that has amazed me and delighted me the most. It's genuinely brought a nostalgic new zen to my family life, and it's why I'm so excited to share it with you too. So please meet the Ericsson 520M. This was the first ever Bluetooth phone to hit the shops, and one of the first with GPRS, as you can see there on the screen, to allow email and internet, or as it was called back then, WAP. No, not that kind of WAP, Gen Zers. It was useful, functional, but nowhere near as addictive as today, due to the deterrent of that small screen and the T9 number pad text input that we all used to love. But unfortunately, it only has a standby time of 1 week, so we'll need to connect a charger from time to time. Seriously though, I longed for this phone when it first came out about a quarter of a century ago. But at today's equivalent of about $900, I just couldn't afford it. Today they're a little cheaper, and now that I have childhood dreams but also adult money, I got this for $250 in mint condition on Fleabay. And of course it comes with a belt clip, although I've opted for a third-party belt holster, blowing people's minds with my breathtaking fashion statements. And I'm quite certain Lady Fractic thinks I'm just the coolest guy in town.
I think...
You like it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Sure. It's great.
Now we'll boot it up in a second and enter grayscale pixelated nirvana. But first, I should mention that last year I made a video about my switch from iPhone to a modern flip phone. And I had been using that every time I went out with the wife and baby, so I'm always present in the moment and never distracted.
Sorry, I just like doing that.
The iPhone stays home now, and I think of it as a small iPad for smart home apps, catching up on the news, and so on. Going this way. But there is one thing that many dumb phones and even a modern flip phone don't offer, and that's a really good camera. Or in the case of the Ericsson, any camera at all. But I think that the belief that we need a camera to be part of a phone is just an illusion sold to us by Samsung and Apple. So when we're out, we use this, the Fuji Instax Mini Evo. I'll put a link in the description, but the Fuji lens has an immediately retro and nice quality to it. You can print photos instantly or later. It's not actually even printing it, it's exposing a real film to the image after the fact. You can even import photos taken on other devices to develop Polaroid style. Instead of taking it on your phone, then noticing you have an Instagram message, then seeing the Instagram stories feed, then finding yourself doom scrolling until a Slack notification demands urgent attention. Ugh, that genuinely made me sweat and want to run away. Just like Puppy Fractic. So with the winds of change in my hair and in the air, I decided they can all wait. When did it become so people can demand your attention and immediate response whenever they choose?
The way you're being asked to live right now is objectively insane. Nothing in your brain has evolved to maintain that level of contact. When I was a teenager, the only way to contact a friend was to call their house and their parents would answer. And it was routine for them to not get back to you, and it was no big deal.
It exploits our own natural tendencies in human beings to get and want feedback. And that feedback, chemically speaking, is the release of dopamine in your brain. In social networking sites, they get you to react. And I think that if you get too desensitized and you need it over and over and over again, then you become actually detached from the world in which you
You
live,
become callous, you become crude.
and you
you're not
live in
tuned
front of your screen.
There's a growing body of research that indicates that smartphones can actually change the way our brains work. Just the mere presence of your phone in a room can destroy your cognitive functioning, even if it's switched off. Crazy, I know, but literal experiments have proved this. Phones affect our memory, stress levels, and cognitive function. If the collective brains of billions of people on Earth have been unknowingly altered worldwide, what does this mean for society? Smartphones and their cognitive effects are being re-examined. But what about the lesser-known stuff? What other effects do smartphones have on the mind? If you've ever felt that phantom buzz, or feel anxious when you haven't checked your phone in a while, you don't need an expert to tell you that there's something strange at play.
No, with a new baby, I've unplugged from that, and it's been so heartening to see Gen Zers having the same realization.
Let's take a look at what those teenagers have been doing at dinner.
Ah.
They all put their phones on the side. There is hope for this generation. Exactly what I'm doing as well. I love that.
But when you realize the real depth of this problem, it can really make you feel sad, as this person commenting on some 80s high school camcorder footage recounts.
It leaves me feeling empty. My high school experience was nothing like this. I remember short bursts of people living in the moment, but everything revolved around our phones and Snapchat, Instagram status. It almost makes me angry because I've never had a straightforward interaction as shown in this video. Even looking at people in the background, they are completely present, not buried in their phones. I'm jealous of millennials and Gen X. Y'all experienced a golden time to be young and free.
And that right there is what I want this project to help with. So please share it with anyone that you think needs some tips in that area. And it's not just Gen Z awakening. And in just the last few weeks, at least 2 governing bodies have started proposing plans to ban smartphones for children. And the flip side of this is smartphones are just boring. I just find them mind-numbingly dull to look at and hold. I feel like we've all become clones using identical faceless, soulless devices. Phones were so exciting in the 2000s. Isn't that more enticing than this? Some of my fondest memories from my 20s include sitting on Richmond Green, unboxing and playing with my brand new Nokia 3210, trying to get an email to SMS service working. It was a brave new world and the start of the cell phone revolution, which in my opinion has now just gone way too far. So yes, aside from a digital detox to focus on people, not pixels, it's also a little bit about time traveling and nostalgia. Because as I said in my video recreating my 80s bedrooms, nobody says the 80s or even early 2000s have to be over. We can still live exactly that way if we choose to do so, and I do. Now, of course, you can achieve dumbphone magnificence in a few ways today. Nokia, aka HMD, just brought back that very same 3210, yet sadly and absurdly, it won't work here in the USA on these kind of cell towers. And they say they have no plans for it to do so. Come on HMD, yellow's my favourite colour as well. Connecting people indeed. Yeah, this way, come on. And other retro flip phones are being teased, like a Barbie one from Mattel and HMD, and another one from Häyrynen. Cheers to that. We'll review them here if we can get hold of them, so make sure you're subscribed for that. And I also tried the Quin, or is it Qin, F21 Pro, and it's probably the most capable dumbphone, but a bit too capable with that enticing touchscreen, which would lead many of us back into that genuine addiction that some of us, myself included, suffered from. But guys, just imagine if Apple made a proper phone with T9 predictive text input on a number pad, just basic apps, and those proper buttons, of course. The Apple iDumb or iFlip? Guy would flip out, actually. God, seriously, I mean, they would make a fortune. And of course, they'll never do it because it's the touchscreen and all those apps that keep us hooked, keep us paying for subscriptions. But if you want to prove me wrong, Apple, get in touch and I'll help you develop exactly what the digital minimalism community needs. I'm not dumb. What do you mean? And in my flip phone video, my ultimate solution of using the Shock Classic Flip was, let's face it, a little bit grandma-ish with those big buttons. Not that there's anything wrong with that, I'm just not a grandma. Well, not yet anyway. Which is why I started reminiscing about the Ericsson. So, to the big question, does 2G even still exist? And indeed, you might be wondering how it can still connect to networks today. being a 2G only phone and all that. But as you can see, it says voice stream there, because I do have signal. Voice stream is what T-Mobile used to be known as. And because the name of the carrier is actually hard baked into the ROM, this little phone, poor thing, bless it, thinks it's still connected to voice stream, but it works. And actually, this video was originally going to be called using the first GPRS Bluetooth phone on the last day of GPRS. Because here in the USA, T-Mobile had long since announced the shutdown of 2G to take place on April 2nd, 2024. And then magically, and this fast-growing digital minimalism community can't thank you enough, T-Mobile, that date changed on their website to just in the future. 2G is still live today. And again, if you're from T-Mobile and you're watching this, please keep it that way. Turning off 2G to release bandwidth for 5G is a huge false economy. I guarantee you'll see people keep paying for a 2G service instead of just cancelling their addictive 5G service altogether. Many people, myself included, would even pay a premium to keep 2G. And turning off 2G now would be turning off what is a fast-growing market for you, albeit an unexpected market, but lucrative nonetheless. Please keep it on. And good news too for Swedish GSM users. Telia has seen the light and, hopefully as T-Mobile will do, postponed the shutdown of 2G until 2028 at least. And in the UK, 2G may be alive until 2033. Almost enough to make me want to move back there. I said almost. However, as we're about to see, getting an old 2G only phone to actually work isn't quite as easy as all that. I can't say how this works in the UK or other countries, but in the USA, the only 2G network is T-Mobile, and they specifically forbid any phone older than about 10 years to work on the network. But after months of trial and error, I'm proud to announce I found a way to do it that works perfectly, that you can do as well. But first, you'll need a GSM-T SIM card from Red Pocket. Now, Red Pocket are a T-Mobile MVNO, if I can even say it right, meaning they use the T-Mobile cell towers as a cell flower. And they don't ridiculously lock you out of old devices. Well, actually they do, but there's a way around it. This is the GSM-T SIM card, T standing for T-Mobile. It comes in the old big size that we'll need, so let's see what happens when we put it in the phone and boot it up. But now our phone has switched to no service or emergency calls only, at which point I should mention 2G coverage is spotty. I can get it almost everywhere, but there are definitely some dead zones. It's nowhere near as widespread as 4G or 5G. Now personally, I like that. I don't need to be connected 24/7, but what's happened there is Red Pocket have realized the phone uses an old IMEI and have locked it out. But look at this. If we put the SIM back in a modern phone and set that to 2G and make a call, it unlocks the SIM card and it works in the old phone again, but only for a few minutes. Now, here's where we need to get a little bit hacky with it. Thanks to MC Diamond9 on the Reddit Dumbphone forum, I realized that if we hack the Ericsson's IMEI, which is legal to do in the USA, as long as you don't use it for any nefarious purposes, the network will think it's the new phone. And we do this using a program called Cruiser and this flashing device. I'll put a link in the description to a great channel whose owner provides this service at a really low cost. And hey presto, the 2001 phone now has a 2024 IMEI. And now it stays on voice stream or Red Pocket permanently. Everyone told me, I mean everyone, that this couldn't be done, but it just proves where there's a will, there's a PCB way! Yes, if the phone you want to use needs a little resurrecting, has some problems with its PCB, I recommend PCBway.com, where you could design and manufacture a brand new motherboard for your old mobile phone, starting from just $5. Because as we all know, PCB stands for phones can break, doesn't it? And by the way, it's their 10th anniversary. Wow, time flies. Even PCB Way are retro now. Good girl. So now we're connected to 2001. Let's start with a little phone tour and see what this groundbreaking device for its time can do. We're in the home screen here. Left and right and up and down for the menus. So let me show you. If I press right, we've got our phone book and room for about another 500 people. I don't think I even know that many people. Then you've got your messaging menu, voicemail, SMS, email. This is like your call history. Sounds and alerts, of course. We've got a bunch of ringtones to choose from. You get the idea. And you can have specific ringtones for certain callers. And you can compose ringtones as well, of course. Let's just change that a bit here. It's not my finest work, but you get the idea. And you can send them, again, by text, by infrared, or by Bluetooth. The first ever time you could do that on a phone. Now this unbelievably has a feature that didn't come to even iPhone or Android until years later. You can have different profiles, so home, work, meeting, and it gives you different ringtones, different options for those profiles. One really amazing thing is when I docked this in my desk charger, it offered to choose a profile for that accessory. So now when I get home and dock this, it automatically selects home mode. Here you can choose networks, not much point because there is only one 2G network in this entire country. And there it is. It's got a backlight. Here you can choose your wallpaper. You can have Bluetooth, singing the praises of the new technology, GPRS internet, and so on. And get this, I told you some things would blow your mind. This phone has voice control. So you can set voice commands like answering a call, that kind of thing. But it also supports magic word. So we can record a magic word. Chip dippers.
Chip dippers.
And what that will do is allow me to answer calls, call people, etc. without touching the phone, just like we can do today with Alexa and Google by saying their magic words to activate them. That was in this 23 years ago. Wow. Lots of extras here, full calendar, infrared. There's a CD-ROM that comes with the device. It may still work on Windows, where you can synchronize over WAP or Bluetooth or infrared all your calendar and contacts and all that kind of stuff. Pictures, a whole bunch of these, and it comes with an editor. Look, you can draw on the screen. This is basically Photoshop quality. Okay, not really. You get the idea. That's pretty cool on a Y2K phone. It's got a password app, something Apple only just launched a few days ago, literally. Full calculator, and of course games. Ericsson is a bit like Snake, so you have to block off as much of the playing area as you can before that little ball bounces and gets you. So there you go, we've blocked off half of it. And monkey tennis, it's basically Pong. And you get the idea with that. Voice memo, I had a little fun with this. I went to ask this shop if they had a case for this phone, but I actually recorded, instead of using a mic, I recorded it on this phone.
Excuse me. Do you have any cases for an Ericsson R520 PM? Are you out of stock? Are you going to be getting some in soon? Oh, and how long since you had them? Yeah, like, did you have some last year, or you haven't had them for a while? Oh, wow, okay. Thanks anyway.
And shortcuts where you can set up things you want to get to quickly, and you can access the first one by holding down left. That lets me change profiles quickly. So there it is, a basic tour of a very complex device. Now let's dig into each feature. Let's start by calling Lady Fractic and Baby Fractic. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, I'm calling from the past. How's the future looking?
right, as long as you remember to bring diapers.
Oh, I knew I forgot something. And on my iPhone, because I want to keep that number, I've set up Call Divert for unanswered calls using this code. What this means is if I'm out and about and I've left my iPhone at home, as I do, and someone calls my normal number, when I don't answer, it'll ring the Ericsson phone instead. So I still just have that one phone number. And if I'm dialing out and I don't want people to be confused, I can just set a permanent caller ID withhold on my red pocket line so people never see my Dumbphone number. It just keeps everything simple. And of course, it has voicemail. You just hold the one key, it's like we used to do. Now, regular SMS texting just works. The SIM card auto-configures the service center to the phone settings. There's no work needed. It also supports long messages, so unlike in the 90s, texts don't get broken up in 160 character chunks. It's just like modern texting. But of course, for those who care, this phone is going to seem like an Android to an iPhone user with green bubbles and all of that. But don't worry, I've solved that too. Stay tuned. Look, it even has emojis. Now, this took a while to figure out, but here's what you need to do to get GPRS internet working.
Now, GPRS refers to the internet connection, just like your home router provides today or dial-up internet used to provide. And as there's only one connection to our GSM operator, we only need one setting. Redpocket provide all of this info for you, but there's only one that's relevant, and that's the APN or access point name. And for Redpocket, that's eReseller. And that's it. When the phone needs internet for email or WAP, it can now connect to the access point.
As for email, let's go into options and email, and here, and it's just the usual POP3 and SMTP setup. If we send and receive, one minute later, we've got something in our inbox. But things get a little more problematic and complex when it comes to sending, because it doesn't let you specify a SMTP password. That's because of the old technology and authentication methods used back then, I guess. But I did find a service called SMTP to go that lets you actually send without a password. Instead, they check the email address you're sending from matches the one on your account. So with that, we can actually write an email. And there it is, received on the computer, which is frankly amazing, as I was again told it was impossible.
Hear you nothing that I say.
What can I will? Yes. Now, there's even an option to attach a photo via this infrared port from a camera that also has an IR blaster. So in a way, this could be a kind of camera phone, I suppose. Down the slippery slope we go, because although we have GPRS working, we can now start to explore the World Wide Web, or at least WAP, which of course stands for Wireless Application Protocol, not anything else at all. And all the phone networks have. I told you it was a slippery slope. Even she's too scared to try it. Come on, you're not a cell tower. Let's go. But as we do walk closer to the cell tower, all the phone networks have long since retired their WAP gateways. Now, this means that this is basically impossible, right? What did we just discuss? I discovered there are a couple of community-run gateways that still work today. Yep, it's time to unbury WAP from the dust, because I've discovered one that works really well today. I had the most luck with this, but there, as I said, there's a couple of others. All we do is enter that IP address in the gateway settings of the phone here. Again, your phone will have a similar setting somewhere if it's not an R520M. Now, a weird quirk, but I found WAP won't work unless you first make a call. It's obviously waking up some sort of latent connection to my phone. But with a quick call to voicemail done, I can then go to a WAP page or a web page. Now, at first, I found that only one WAP page still existed online. I'm not kidding. Can you imagine in the future, 100 years from now, when someone's making a video like this, maybe I'm making it, about how there's only one web page still left on the entire internet. Maybe it's perifactic.com. But that one WAP page just shows the USSR national anthem. Cool, but not really what I was hoping for. Then, channel Patreon George resurrected his WAP site for us. He used it for flashcards back in the day for studying. I don't know, it's all Greek to me. But as always, I wanted more, I tell you. And then I remembered FrogFind. That's a service created by Sean at YouTube's Action Retro. Go check it out. It reformats pretty much any website into text, so it can be read on vintage computers. But sadly, it didn't work on the phone. So I reached out to Sean on a bit of a whim, joined his Patreon, and, well, he got really excited about the project, even went as far to order an old Nokia off eBay for himself for testing. And after a few weeks of our beta testing together, I'm delighted to say it basically all works. Look, I bookmarked a few sites that I use repeatedly, like news and weather, and they just work. Now, let's take a moment, stop here, and consider the gravity of this. FrogFind lets you search the entire World Wide Web, like when you Google something on Yahoo, which means pretty much the entire internet just reopened for business to every WAP-capable dumbphone in the world. That's just really cool. And I've also been beta testing a new service from WeDevelop, which lets you use SMS as a sort of fetching service for internet info. Now, this is truly wonderful. Just look at this. I can text it to ask for the weather, or I can find a shop or restaurant, or define a word to settle an English versus American English argument between me and Lady Fractic, or even get full directions without the need for Google Maps or the Play Store installed on your phone. Which is handy because I'm actually a little bit lost right now. Anyone know the way to my house? Down there? Yeah, all right. Come on. Never felt more connected while being essentially disconnected in my whole life. I love it. Now, the phone also mentions fax, although I haven't figured out quite how to send one from the phone yet. Presumably it can dial a fax machine and make the appropriate noises, but I couldn't get it working. I'll let you know if I do. But for me, it can't truly replace the iPhone unless it looks like an iPhone to other people. There is some prejudice about green bubbles versus blue bubbles and all of that. And I love just having one number for both phones anyway. So then I thought, what if iPhone shortcuts can solve this?
And to illustrate this, we've got 3 phones. This is my iPhone, which stays at home when I go out. This is the Ericsson that comes out with me. And this is going to double as the recipient's phone. Here's a little shortcut automation. And I've specified any of 30 senders. So these are people I want to hear from when I'm out and about with family. I don't want spam and junk and random stuff. So when I get a message from any of those, it does this. First, it checks the orientation and makes sure the iPhone is face down. That's how I signal to the device that I want it to forward text. I don't want every text coming on here because the memory would fill up. And in that case, it forwards this message format. It puts the sender's number, says the input, which is the message contents, and it forwards it to the contact, which I called phone relay, which is actually this real phone number on this phone's SIM card that nobody has. So our water was cut off and it came back on. So Lady Fractic sent me a text and she said, water is back. So the iPhone forwarded that in this format to this real phone number. And here's what I received. So it has the sender's phone number, says water is back. Now here's where things get even more magical. I can reply, but I can include this message when I reply, delete their text, but keep their phone number in. This is the magical part, because I have a second shortcut that says, when I get a message from phone relay onto here, first it copies all of the text that I've sent. So let's say I said thanks. I then send that, it goes straight back to the iPhone. What the iPhone does is copy that message to memory, extract that phone number that I put at the beginning of the message, removes that number from the message, and then forwards the rest of that message, in other words, just the word thanks, to, and then matches that phone number. And look, there it is. And because it is effectively sent from the iPhone back to my wife, she gets it with blue bubbles. So we just received and then replied to an iMessage all from this phone. And if I open Lady Fractic's contact, we can see where the shortcuts have actually sent that message, that just one word, thanks, to Lady Fractic, blue bubbles, and yeah, don't worry about that, I'm colorblind. And I just realized we didn't need to use this at all for our example.
So there it is, the fully working 23-year-old phone that's now my daily driver when out and about. And just as it's brought me joy, I hope the joy and simplicity of revisiting a 2001 Y2K 2G phone has inspired you, or at least sparked any thoughts about a digital detox you may have been having. If so, share your stories with us below. I hope this at least inspires you to consider what connectivity, or lack of it, means to you. Is it a constant barrage of notifications, or is it the genuine human connections that we forge when we're truly present? Because did you notice, the whole time we were using this 2G phone, we never had a single app notification bubble pop up and pop our focus out of the real world. And we survived. We did it. Yeah! And perhaps like me, you'll find joy in the clarity that comes with simplifying your tech. Remember, it's not just about going back in time to retro tech. It's about taking the best of the past to improve our present. Not just to reminisce, but to redefine what it means to live well in a digital world. Until next time, keep dialing down the digital and turning up the life. Thanks for watching, subscribe and support below, and cheerio.
One man can make a difference, Perry. Or one woman. Or dog. The Fractics, lone curators in a vintage world. The world of retro recipes.